Okay, just give me, I'm sorry. I gotta hesitate for 5 seconds. It's not up on YouTube yet. Okay, just give me, okay.
Okay, we're good, Barb?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I call to order the January 10th, 2021 instructional work group meeting of the Board of Education. Our second order of business is the written registrants. There were 4 written statements submitted for this meeting, all opposed to the proposal to eliminate standalone honors courses at the high school level. The full written statements are attached as a report to the agenda item. That item actually for the advanced learning update has been removed today from our agenda. Public appearances.
Okay, one moment.
Mhm.
Judith, go ahead. You can turn on your video. If you just give me 1 second, I want to share your documents. Maya, can you confirm that you can see these graphs?
Yes, I can see this graphs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Judith, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Judith, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Yes, okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. What I'm talking about tonight has a lot to do with what you're talking about. You were talking about subs not having enough people to run the classrooms and also the honors classes. And this kind of feeds into that. And where's my slide now? Can that come up, the first slide?
One moment.
And what I did is I took some of the data out of the 104-page report and kind of put together some graphs that show what's been going on with kids in the district by group, okay? I don't know, and I want to ask, are there longitudinal studies of cohorts, like kids that start in a certain year and what happens to them over their 12 years that they spend at MMSD? Because that'll help you diagnose kind of what's going on and prescribe a treatment. You may know I'm an ophthalmologist and now I'm a reading advocate. And what I see here, the big dips that happen between the 2nd grade and 4th grade, now these were cobbled together. This is data from PALS for the grade 2, and then the forward test for grade 4. Those are the same kids. And you lost them between the PALS and the grade 4. And that doesn't show up in the report this way, okay? That the big drop happens there. That's because they don't learn to read. They don't have the ability to do multisyllabic words that happens after 4th grade, and you lose them. And the other thing that you see is once people get down, it seems like they stay down. And all groups didn't do that great. Let's go to the next people. Let's go to the ELLs. Okay, this is the low income versus non-low income. And both groups go down, but non-low income can be a bit protective, probably because of vocabulary and educational attainment of the parents. But let's go to the next one, which is the ELLs. Okay, but the English, if you're an English language speaker or a non-English language speaker, or an English language learner, I should say, it makes a difference. And the English language learners, frighteningly, in 8th grade, only 4% of them were proficient. And that is really terrible. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what percentage of dual language people are in here. If your dual language programs are failing, I don't know. But this data is really scary. What I want to point out is anybody who has a language difference is in big trouble at MMSD. Whether you speak dialect, whether you speak English as a second language, whether you have dyslexia, or whether you have a learning disability. And let's go to the next one. This is kids with learning disabilities. Okay, so this shows you too, if you don't have a learning disability, you don't do that bad, well, you don't do well, but if you have a learning disability, you will really have a problem. So one starts to think about how we could disaggregate the data to actually look and strategically plan what you could do. I think you need to train community members to act as tutors. I think you need to start that now in the winter and have these kids go to school in the summer. It can be made fun. The kids can play card games with phonics things. And there's people in town. I am not one of them. I have no financial interest in any of this. I just don't want to watch these kids suffer anymore. And you're trying to do a yeoman's job with a big problem, COVID and everything else. So I do appreciate you. And I only am saying this in a spirit of goodwill. I've talked to Dr. Jenkins on the phone. I have met some of you in person. I have sent you emails, and now I'm coming to board meetings. And I just am trying, and any of you you have my contact information. I am happy to provide you sources that can help you solve this problem. Thank you.
Okay, that was our final speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Okay. Moving on to our next item. My board docs is frozen, so just a second.
Sorry, it's the use of assistive technology demonstration.
Okay, we'll move on to that. Anna, I believe you are taking on that.
Yep, and I believe Nancy's going to start, but I'll share the screen while she's talking.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Anna. Good evening, everyone. Nancy Molfenter here. I am thrilled to be able to introduce our guest speakers on assistive technology through the Student Services Department and specifically related to the Big Ideas project for the robots. We have with us this evening one of our really most amazing scholars in our school district. Leonie is a 6-year-old first grader at Sandburg Elementary School. And I had the pleasure of meeting her earlier this school year and just getting to know her a little bit with her bubbly personality and amazing skills at navigating her technology, which you're going to see tonight. Her mother, Nicole, is also here with us, and I want to say thank you to both of them very much for their time this evening. Nicole is a disability advocate and a mental health therapist. She's also currently working on her PhD in the education and supervision of mental health clinicians, on top of everything else that she does, including being an independent contractor on the Big Ideas robots project with us. And then last but not least, our very own amazing Anna Cliff, who is our assistive technology specialist and an occupational therapist by training. And she is working diligently every day with our scholars and school teams and other staff in assistive technology to find creative and innovative solutions to support our scholars of all abilities to participate in and access school. And so in her free time, she participates in multiple forward-thinking state and nationwide groups for assistive technology, including the AT Forward project with the Department of Public Instruction. So she is the primary brain power behind the Big Ideas project for the robots. And I'm glad that she gets to share some information with you tonight, connected directly to a scholar who is benefiting every day.
Thank you, Nancy, for that introduction. So I'll lead us off just to talk a little bit about the project, and then I really want this to be about Leonie being able to share her story. So as you can see on this first slide, it's our big idea project was called Mission Possible because it really is a possibility that we provided for students in school. So robots right now are being used to make school possible for not only Leonie, but many students, and that was the big goal of the project. So we're going to specifically talk about the success we've seen with Leonie and let her share how it works for her. And then if you have questions at the end, feel free to stop us and ask us. All right, Nicole, I'll let you. This is Leonie, a picture of Leonie, and then Nicole and Dwight are her parents who are both here tonight to share as well. And I'll let Nicole share a little bit of her story on Leonie and her background.
So thank you for having us. Leonie shares her life with a medical diagnosis called spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA. This is a genetic disease that creates extremely weak muscles, including those needed to breathe, swallow, and eat. Leonie is fed through a G-tube, which she will hopefully discuss with us in a little bit. This was a terminal diagnosis that was given to our family when Leonie was 5 months old. We were told that the average age these babies live to is 8 months old, with only 5 to 10% of them living beyond 2 years old. At the time that we were given this diagnosis, there was no cure and no treatment. Leonie became part of the clinical trial for the first treatment drug, and that means that she is now getting stronger and not weaker, as the normal progression of the disease would have taken over at this point. So Leonie very quickly told us that she was not going to be another statistic and she was going to change things. Leonie is trached and on a ventilator 24/7. She requires 60 to 90-minute respiratory treatments twice daily, in addition to all the other things a normal first grader would have to do. She is not immunocompromised. However, a simple cold can increase these treatments to several times a day and potentially include a hospital stay. So even before COVID, she needed to be instructed at home. However, this does not affect her emotions, and it definitely does not affect her intellect or her brain, and it also does not affect her humor. So she still needed to be able to be socialized, which is how we were able to connect with Anna and bring the robot into our family.
Right. Leonie is truly just a she's amazing. So you'll get to meet her in a few minutes, but we'll talk a little bit about her setup. I think this is just important to show you all that the complicated piece to how this all works together. You'll see there's a setup of all of her equipment that she has just for her medical needs, but then you also see on the left side the setup that we have going for not only her communication device. So here, up here on the top, that's her communication device that's mounted above her. And she uses her eyes to communicate. So I'll let Mom talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. But here is a picture of how of what she's seen at school and how she navigates at school. And then she has another laptop up for other instructional supports. So just so you know, her environment's it has a lot going on in it, but it's just pretty amazing how much she can do. So you'll see here a little bit closer view of this is the iPad. This is how she's seen her classmates and her school environment. And she's got some finger and wrist movement that she uses to navigate the robot. And Nicole can attest to this and share a little bit more information about that. But she has, with the drug treatments and the clinical trials, she's actually increasing her ability to use her hands even more. So that's really exciting. In the past, she was just using her fingers, and now she's getting more wrist movement, which is really exciting to see. Did I miss something on that, Nicole?
No, that was great.
All right, so we really want to show you what this looks like in her school environment. So this is going to be Leonie and her robot at school. So let me know if you cannot hear the sound. Just I'm pretty sure I clicked it on, but let me know.
My name is Leonie. I am 6 years old. up on the TV.
We're gonna get started with our.
Leona, you got your pajamas on?
You have your pajamas on?
I got my pajamas on. Your pajamas, I see.
And your moose ears look great.
You do like spiders? I like spiders too, Leonie. I like spiders too. I'll be at my desk if you want to talk to me.
She's watching her friends on the screen, and she's making her robot turn around and dance with her friends.
All right. I just think that video is so impactful because it really shows the benefit to having a robot for Leonie, and school would not be possible without that opportunity for her. All right. And so we'll talk a little bit about her communication device. Nicole, did you want to share this part?
Sure. So for anyone who's not familiar with eye gaze technology, it tracks her eyes. It's similar to using a computer and using a mouse. However, it's just using her eyes. There's a tracking device in the bottom of it, and Leonie is able to click on things and go through different pages. There are hundreds of pages programmed into her device. The picture on the left kind of shows similar to what she looks at, and she looks at a certain square long enough. It will click on that and it will say that. She can build sentences through that. The closest example that I can think of is Stephen Hawking, the scientist, also used a similar technology to this. And we do have a little video of her doing some spelling lessons and putting together a couple of sentences with her CC teacher. And it just kind of gives you an idea of, first of all, how she uses it, but also how talking with someone who uses an eye gaze device requires a lot of patience because it takes a little bit longer for her to put a sentence together, being able to use her eyes. So hopefully this will give you a better idea of how this works.
Can you spell the word porch?
P-O-I.
Oh, try again. Remember, we need O and
R.
Good, and then ch. Yep.
C.
You got it.
H.
Awesome. What word?
Porch.
Good. Okay, another.
I.
N.
N.
Good, and that's the end of our first sentence.
N.
Good. So what do we need at the end of our sentence? Good. Can you go back to your keyboard?
The bears come in.
Good. Okay, we have to write our next sentence now.
The bears come in.
Good. Now we're going to say the.
T.
Mm-hmm.
H.
Good.
E.
Good. Can you make a space?
The.
Good. And now can you spell the word bear?
B.
Mm-hmm.
E.
Mm-hmm.
A.
Good.
R.
Good. Can you make a space?
S.
Good.
The bears come in. The bears are looking for Chipmunk.
Good job. Do you want to read it again?
The bears come in. The bears are looking for chipmunk.
That's awesome. Can you spell the word?
All right.
Can you spell the word?
All right, so we wanted to show you exactly how the Tobii Dynavox works for her and how she communicates using her eye gaze. But I will let Nicole talk about their future goals for Leani because this is really a lot of the goals that we have for a lot of our students in the district. But we'll let her talk about Leani's specific goals.
So because of Liani being so susceptible to colds and COVID and anything respiratory, we plan on her continuing robot use at home. Her CC teacher comes into our home, her PT, her OT, her speech, and she also has an LEA that comes into our home that helps her with her regular ed classroom. However, when it is safe and when the weather works with us, we try to get Liani to at least once a week recess with her friends. It's outside, kids are wearing masks, so it's much safer. And so this is Liani playing with and hugging her best friend. So this just helps the kids be able to see each other and see her as something more than a robot. And it also helps her to be able to engage with them instead of just through a screen.
All right, so we'll just talk a little bit about the project and things that we've learned. And it's been so incredible to have families like Nicole and Dwight and Leani to be a part of this project because they're leading and paving the way for a lot of other students in our district. So things we've learned through the project, there's a lot of pre-training and time that it takes to play with the new technology, and it's really important for everyone to learn about it. So school, home, and even our nursing staff. I know that Nicole and Dwight will share that the nursing staff, even at home, are helping to learn the technology and use it as well. We've also learned about robot etiquette. A lot of students are learning that Leani is a person at school and the robot's her. And so keeping their hands to themselves and making sure her robot is safe is part of our training. We're still learning how to improve our resources and processes because we really want to have more students have this experience as well. Right now we have 4 more MMSD scholars that are using the robots in district, and we need more robots and more time and more staffing to improve our processes. So I think that Nicole has gone to meet with Leani right now, so I'm going to let Leani take it over and share a couple thoughts herself. If she is feeling able to. So I will move to the next slide. And then if she's not able to, we will show a quick video.
Yes, she's here.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my
Okay,
share.
it's your turn. What would you like to say?
Hi, butterfly.
Can you hear that? Okay. All right. What would you like to tell them? Anything about yourself? Hey, what would you like to say? You can say whatever you want.
My favorite color is black. My favorite animal is a unicorn.
Would you like to tell them how you eat? Oh. You can say that.
My nurse makes my food. It is like juice. It goes in a feeding tube in my tummy, not in my mouth.
Yeah. And did you want to spell something? You can spell your favorite word if you want.
You want to spell cookie?
COOKIE.
What's that spell?
Cookie. BEARS. Bears.
And can you say bye? You did such a good job.
Bye bye butterfly.
Can you say goodbye?
Can you say goodbye on your Tobii?
Bye bye butterfly.
Good job. Good job. I'm so proud of you.
I don't think we need to show this video, Nicole. She did amazing. Um, Leonie, that was great. I'm so glad you were able to share your story and share a little bit about yourself. She's normally quite nervous, and sometimes she has her 6-year-old personality. And I laugh with Nicole and Dwight at times because she does tell people what she wants and when she wants it. So this was amazing. Nicole, do you have any last minute thoughts, or Dwight?
Not any last minute thoughts, but we're here for questions.
Hi, Leanne.
Before we go on to questions, I think Dr. Jenkins would like to also mention something.
Yes, first of all, just great seeing you again, both Dwight, seeing you there, and Nicole and Anna. I just can't say thank you enough. And I tell you, this is what schools and families look like when it's working at the highest level. I truly believe Leon is one of our top scholars in the entire district, if not the entire world. Her readability is above her classmates, just so that everyone knows. But I'm glad that we have this opportunity, Dr. Mofenti, because this brings out true humanity in all of us and show all of us what we're capable of doing when we work together. And we wanted Leonie to come and present because first of all, she's a true rock star. But during these times, we can lean all on Leonie and learn just how to be just great towards one another, with one another. And thank you, Dwight and Nicole, and thank you for allowing me in your house too, just to meet your daughter as well. Thank you so much. And bye-bye, alligator.
And then if we'll share these slides, we can put it in the chat. But as far as the slides too, there's links to more of her communication videos as well that are all captioned on YouTube, and then just some of her doing some other activities too. So feel free to check those out. She's pretty fascinating. And she's an amazing little girl. So we're really thankful we have the opportunity to work with her and her family.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, President Mildred, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Board Member Pearson. I am curious about the most relevant supports to your family that are provided by the district, and also, you know, what it looks like for your student to shift between teachers and grade levels versus staff that are really consistent and working with her over a long period of time throughout elementary school. So her PT staff, what does that relationship building look like? And what are things that you'd like to see the district strengthen in terms of meeting the needs of your student?
So I think the biggest thing that we learned this year is that we need more training in the beginning of the year when she has a new teacher. It was a little bit of a bumpy start this year because we just didn't realize, we kind of took advantage of the fact that, or not purposely took advantage, but forgot how much work we put in with her CC teacher and her classroom teacher last year. And so we, as a family and her nursing staff, were kind of in a routine. And then all of a sudden we had new people. And so we forgot that, oh, somebody may not be familiar with a robot, and what does that mean? And that's how Anna and I started working on, okay, what's robot etiquette? What do we need to tell someone using this for the first time? And then definitely consistency with keeping the same PT, OT, speech therapist, if it's someone that Leonie really likes and they're able to adapt things for her well and willing to grow in their own disciplines to get to know what her diagnosis means. The other thing is she's paving the way because this is a new treatment. So kids who are treated right away with diagnosis are much stronger than Leonie. but kids who are older and got the treatment later are much weaker than her. So she's very much kind of in a lane by herself. And so there might not be an exact PT protocol that fits her. So somebody really has to adapt to that. So once they learn how to work with her, it's very important for that to be the same person going forward. Very helpful. I don't know if I answered all of your questions that you asked.
You absolutely answered my question, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and your child with us. It was really beautiful to get to hear from her, and to get to see her work with her class. And so thank you for supporting this board in our learning, and allowing your students to be part of that.
You're welcome. We're honored.
Very much.
That's it for me, Board Member Pearson.
Thank you. Ananda, and then Chris Crucy, and then Nikki, I see your hand.
Thank you so much, Board Member Pearson, for opening space for this extremely important item. And thank you both for your advocacy and for your family to be not just opening that access to your own child, but setting up for other children in our school district and potentially across the state. Yeah, thank you. It was beautiful. My question was around as you're navigating, and I heard your answer around the transition with new staff, but as you are navigating multiple barriers and things that you potentially have not foreseen, what would be your next, or what is emerging for you or for your family around advocacy, whether it's district, local, state? How is that? Can you share that with us a little bit? It could be a policy, it could be additional resources, could be research. What does it look like from an advocacy perspective as you're navigating some very new territory for us in education?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that we've noticed is that we've had a lot of assumptions that because Liani has a lot of physical disabilities and she looks differently and she walks around with essentially a mini ICU unit, we've had a lot of assumptions that she has no intellect and she's essentially a vegetable, when in reality, as Dr. Jenkins can attest to, in about 30 seconds of him watching her with her eye gaze device, noticed how quickly she maneuvered through things. And he said, she's not a special ed student. And I said, no, she's actually very advanced. So I think just her being able to be treated with the respect that any other student would have, just because she looks different, and not have assumptions made about her, has been a huge thing for us with just communicating with her providers, and educating them that she still has a stubborn personality and it's okay for you to be firm and push her. She is still going to try to manipulate you. She's still going to try to
she's a typical 6-year-old.
She's very much so, and she's very strong-willed. So she needs to be pushed, and just because she looks fragile does not mean that she doesn't need to be pushed, or she needs to be given more grace on assignments. So that's a big thing that I feel like we're continually teaching people and providing for the people who work for her, is that it's okay to push her. It's okay to be firm. She will try to manipulate you.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to them as well. As far as the advocacy that they've done for Leilani has helped advocate for other students. So because of the Big Idea Project and even the data that's come from their experiences, we've been able to purchase more robots that have been able to be serviced and used with other students in our district right now. So MMSD is already paving the way for a lot more students to have this support and this resource through the Big Idea Grant. So we're very fortunate that we are able to have families like Leilani and Nicole and Dwight to really be leading this and helping us and make that point and help continue to advocate, because we're becoming known around the state in Madison for our work with the robots. So it's pretty exciting.
Thank you. I want to say that you all have set the bar really high for the Big Ideas projects. I am pretty sure we're going to continue to see more of you. I wish you luck on your journey. Deep gratitude. And this is day 10 of the new year, and it's the best news, the best presentation I could possibly have. I actually by accident saw the slide early on the app itself. I was like, oh, where is this happening? And so I'm just deeply in awe, and there's not going to be any words to share my gratitude to you all, to your child, to your family, for all the amazing work that you're doing, and for trusting us also to be partnered with you as you navigate. Kudos to Dr. Mofender and to Anna. Thank you so much. And for all the staff that is supporting as we are breaking through some really amazing technology around accessibility for our students. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ananda. Chris, and then Nikki.
So Nicole and Dwight and Leilani, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I'll echo, that was beautiful and fun. And like, I learned more from that than I would have learned from a technical presentation about the robots. I am curious, like, it seems like this robot has just added so much to your daughter's education, but I'd love to hear from you. How would her experience in MMSD be different if she did not have access to that robot?
Sorry, I'm transitioning because her nurse needs to get to her and do her respiratory treatment. So I'm trying to get away from all the noise. So essentially, if we did not have this, it would mean that Leilani would basically need a one-on-one teacher all the time, because it's just not safe for her to be in school. We tried to have her do what was before preschool, whatever the starting program is, where they go once or twice a week. I forget the name of it, but we tried to go to that, and she went a couple of times, and both times she got a cold and was out for several weeks after that. And so we just very quickly realized she's not going to be able to be around other kids, because if every time she's around a group of kids, even with us taking extra precautions, she's out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with a cold, this is not going to help her education. So that's when we realized we had to do something else. And that was before kindergarten. So it provides social aspect for her that she would not get otherwise. That's the biggest thing. And it allows her to just be in a regular education classroom with other kids in the best way that she can.
Thank you so much for that. Again, thank you for being here and for sharing your story and your wonderful daughter.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Nikki?
Yes, good to talk to you again, Nicole of Dwight. It's good to hear from you.
Thank you.
I'm really thrilled to be able to hear from Leilani herself, because it's wonderful. It shows what true inclusion can be done, and that it is possible to make those accommodations. You just have to think differently. And oftentimes we're think in one mindset. We must sit at a desk. We must answer a certain number of questions, and we must auditorily speak. Not everyone learns the same way, and not everyone moves the same way. That's just not the way it always is. And I just appreciate you showing the possibilities. As you already know from our past conversations, when I went to school, the ADA didn't exist. And I'm just so happy that finally technology and the ADA are finally coming together in education to make a world that I knew was possible, but I really truly didn't see. So I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate your advocacy and the advocacy of your mom because it made the path for where we're at.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Any other questions from any other board members? Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
I don't really have a question. I did it again. I unmuted myself, even though I don't need to do that in this room. I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to really say thank you and echo the thanks of my fellow board members and you coming and giving this presentation. I really look forward. I hope you'll come back again or keep us updated on how it's going, because I'd love to hear about Leonie getting outside once the weather turns and being able to interact with her classmates like that and just hear how the robot project continues to evolve. So thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And so that concludes that portion. And we are moving on to the next presentation. And that will be the 2022, I had to remember to say 22, summer programming.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm going to set this up, but I have to pause and say to Nicole, Dwight, and Leonie, thank you so much for centering us again. You know, during these times, it is so easy to kind of lose focus as to our true purpose. And what was demonstrated here tonight is a perfect example of what education should look like. The schools and the families working together. And then when we do that, everything is possible. And we saw that firsthand tonight. And so I just challenge all of us on the screen, you know, whenever we have that down moment, let's just go back and just revisit what we experienced tonight. And it will reground us and really bring back purpose for what we do. So I just had to say that. Thank you. And if you're like me, I know the first time that I saw this as we were preparing to bring this forth to the board and to the community, I can tell you, I was, you know, I like to say this, I'm a good Omega man, but I must admit, I got a little weak. I was watering my eyes. And I wasn't crying, I was just watering my eyes, but it was just super special. And they didn't tell you this, but Leonie is the best speller in her class. You know, and it just shows you, we just need to give all children a chance. And if we do that, just let all that other stuff get out of the way and just center children, it would just be a wonderful place, you know, for all of us. And I just had to say that, so thank you so much. All right, next. I am very delighted to bring to you the team, Nicole Schaefer, Dr. Caroline Racine Gillers, and Peter Kuzma. They're going to come forth and just kind of give us a high overview of what we can expect this summer for our summer semester. As you know, last year, I think when I was just coming aboard, I think we changed the name from summer school to summer semester, and I was very excited about that. And we're pushing the team to really start thinking out of the box. You know, we can't go into summer semester and do what we did when we were in regular session. You know, we have to be creative. We have to think outside of the box. And we have to think about ways of re-engaging students to teaching and learning. And I know that we have the right team in place to do that. And so I'm going to be quiet and let the experts come forth and share with you, and you have an opportunity to pose questions and make some recommendations, because we're still far enough out that, if we have to make some changes to our plan that we're rolling out tonight, we still have a little time to do that. So at this time, I turn it over to the team. I think it's Nicole at this point.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pryor. I appreciate the warm introduction. And following the previous presentation, we hope we do this justice as well. So we are super excited to share some initial information about our 2022 summer programming. Our presentation is really all about that whole child programming that is student-centered, robust, and offers great learning experiences for our kids through collaboration from several departments and partnerships that you'll see. Barb, is it possible for you to share our presentation? Awesome. We will kick it off. I will first provide an overview around summer semester, including some of the collaborative work that summer semester office and the secondary team are working on. And then Peter Kuzma, coordinator of fine arts, will provide an overview of the Summer Arts Initiative, followed by Janet Dyer, executive director of MSCR, who will share out about MSCR programming and how our programs connect for students in the summer, and highlighting some of our most programs that are also community-based. At the conclusion of the presentation, we'll open it up for questions. All right, next slide. All right, summer semester, as Dr. Pryor had mentioned, we did adjust the name, kind of did some rebranding last summer. It really is a learning support and time for students to accelerate their learning, have fun, stay on track for graduation, and become college and career and community ready. In addition to academic support, summer semester will provide services including school meal programs and facilitate access to social, physical, and emotional health support. Our students continue to demonstrate a need for high quality instruction with strong support, even beyond what we were offering during the regular school year. In the next few slides, I'll provide an overview of how we'll maximize learning opportunities and experience that engage, challenge, and support our learners. Positive, trusting relationships that foster safe and healthy learning environments and personalized opportunities lead to next grade level and or post-secondary success. And we look forward to continuing our students' learning in the summer. We are going to begin with high school programming and walk backwards. So high school program is scheduled for 6 weeks, 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and is to help students really meet their academic goals. Counselors and support staff are staffed at each one of our high schools this summer to ensure credit completion and support the social and emotional needs of the students who are attending. We've learned that virtual options for many students are preferred because it allows them to take multiple courses and have a flexible accommodation, or that accommodate work and other commitments. We also know that in-person options are important for some as well. Therefore, courses will be offered virtually and in person for all students attending our MMSD high schools. Some expanded programming this summer that we're going to be focusing in on as well is ACT preparation, and in the area of experiential learning, some paid internships. Cindy, is there anything, I know that you are in the house, is there anything that you would like to highlight in terms of ACT prep or the paid internships?
Sure, I'll chime in real quick. Good evening, everybody. It is wonderful to see you. We're really excited this summer. We are thinking differently about the ACT preparation that we normally run. We know many of our students have had some learning loss over the last 18 months. And we also know that ACT prep is just a great academic preparation and skill building opportunity for our students. So we're starting to work with a few outside organizations that specialize in this area and are going to be offering multiple sessions for our students to receive high quality robust targeted ACT preparation. More of that you will start to hear about at the end of this month and forthcoming for that. So we're really looking forward to that. In addition, we have a partnership with the City of Madison and also some of our community-based organizations where we are expanding our paid internships for our young people. We are focusing on two really important areas: health services area, or the healthcare area, and information technology. And we have over 100 seats or slots this summer where students will be focusing not just on internships that are paid, which we think is critically important for our young people that are wage earners in their household, but also coupled with coursework. We know the best learning for our students is kind of on the job training while also learning in the classroom. So that's just a little bit of a highlight. I'll be here if you have questions later on, but we're really excited about thinking differently about these experiences and opportunities for our young people this upcoming summer.
Thanks, Cindy. All right, we can move on to the next slide. The next slide will highlight our middle school programming. We know that in middle school, the task of nurturing student development and transitions requires support for the overall well-being with a focus on continuing school routines, structures, and demands. Undoubtedly, students have experienced more stress and unpredictability and transition than what is typical. So we know that our summer program will need to focus on well-being and transition to foster the best for our learners. Our middle school programming comprises of two critical transitions, that 5th to 6th and also 8th to 9th. Therefore, our programming will include not only community building, academic and enrichment time, but also designated time for our rising 6th graders to engage in a course called Middle School 101, delivered by middle school support staff that include themes like goal setting, friendships, and conflict resolution. Our rising 9th grade students will engage in group-based activities aimed at supporting social and emotional learning, executive functioning, and organization skills, facilitated through our partnership with the School Psychology and Training Clinic at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This program offers classroom instruction that targets social emotional learning and skills needed for successful transition to 9th grade. So we're super excited about that. Slide 5, or next slide. All right, our elementary focus for K through 4th grade. Students, again, will have 6 weeks of programming from 8 a.m. to 12 that focuses on community building, social emotional support. There'll be academic time and the opportunity to engage in fine arts and movement activities. Learning will be delivered by high quality staff so that students can do their best learning in alignment with the Early Literacy and Beyond Task Force report, using a literacy curriculum aligned to the science of reading. And we would begin implementation of the new elementary literacy curriculum if it's available. All right, next slide is really an opportunity for you just to get a snapshot. What would a student's day look like for summer? Right now, given what we know, here is a sample schedule. So students would begin their day. This is a K-8 example. They would come in, kick off with a soft landing with breakfast in their classroom, easing into their day, moving through their movement, transition, fine arts, and math and literacy time. Lunch would be served, and we would close out the morning for students who are enrolled in a half day and or support the transition with MSCR for those students who've enrolled in that full day program from 8 to 4. We're currently working with MSCR to provide a connected and coordinated program, and will continue to do so during the summer with ongoing planning meetings with MSCR coordinators and summer site staff. The next slide, and at this point, I'm going to pass it off to Peter Kuzma, who is our fine arts coordinator, and he's going to give an overview of some additional exciting opportunities for students, both in summer semester as well as MSCR programming, as it relates to the arts. So Peter, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks so much, Nicole. I just want to thank not only Nicole, definitely Dr. Pryor for his advocacy and his guidance in kind of helping really make this sort of an opportunity possible, along with the arts opportunities that are sort of embedded within the summer semester programming as it's currently envisioned. One of the main goals of the Summer Arts Initiative is to really be able to create some unique learning opportunities, especially for student populations that have not usually had the opportunity to try these things out. So this is sort of a teaser trailer, not a lot of detail, because we are still in process of making sure that our community partners, the UW, all of the possible providers for some of the very best high quality arts opportunities can be garnered to be able to try and make sure that we are offering opportunities either in the school settings or possibly even throughout the city, depending on their availability and the best venues for the work that they do with kids and young people. But in visual arts and performing arts and theater, drumming, dance, and movement, and the technical theater there, that one has an asterisk, but I'm working through possibilities to even have some of our high school technical theater students be able to help mentor and work with younger kids, just to let them know about the opportunities in lighting, sound design, and scenic work. So lots of opportunities are sort of in the hopper, and we're working out the best possible structure. One structure is in coordination with the leaders and coordinators of the MSCR after program wraparound services in the afternoon. If things go the way that I'm hoping that they will, every single child will have an arts opportunity with a professional teaching artist every single day throughout the afternoon programming, if things work well. That is just a quick teaser trailer. Happy to answer questions as much as I can, but I'm going to pass off the baton here to Janet Dyer to talk more about the MSCR after programming and the rest of their programming. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. We're definitely looking forward to working with you on those new arts initiatives. But as always, MSCR is planning with summer semester folks to provide wraparound programs for all 14 of the summer school sites, summer semester sites. So these 6-week programs are going to be both for elementary students and for middle school youth. Our elementary wraparound program is called SREC, or Summer Recreation and Enrichment Centers. And we are hoping to serve up to 2,000 students in this wraparound program, offering a wide variety of enriching activities that support the learning that they're doing in the morning. Our programs will have themes each week, and they will include activities in the areas of STEM, outdoor exploration, arts and culture, cooperative games, team building, health and wellness, and general recreation, along with reading groups and weekly field trips. At the middle school level, we operate youth resource centers and are looking forward to serving 5th through 8th graders at the 4 summer semester sites. And we're hoping to get back to close to some of our normal numbers of participants, 400 to 500 students at that level. And for middle schoolers, our programs focus a little bit more on mini course activities, where those middle schoolers have some choice in what types of enrichment activities they want to participate in. We'll also be having activities that focus on youth leadership and voice, recreation, and community exploration. Next slide, please. I just wanted to share a little bit of information. In addition to the summer semester programming we're doing, MSCR is continuing, of course, our community programming for both youth and adults. And the areas that we will be having programs in, we will have a number of general and special interest camps focusing on everything from childcare to outdoor adventure, sports. And this year, we're able to get back to somewhat normal schedule with 26 sites all over the community, serving around 3,500 youth. In addition to that, we will have a number of our community partners in our school buildings operating programs as well. So in addition to camps, we have arts and enrichment classes. And for those students that are enrolled in summer semester, I'm excited they're going to possibly get some opportunities. But in addition to that, we're providing other opportunities for community youth that are not necessarily in summer semester around dance, music, visual art, pottery, enrichment. And of course, our art cart will be out in the community, serving a lot of students on a drop-in basis. We anticipate serving over 1,700 students in those classes. We've really built up our outdoor recreation and environmental education programming in the summer just to get more kids outside. And the community has responded very well with our nature programming, our paddling programming, orienteering and team building programming at our school forest site and at our Kennedy site. And we'll be looking to serve over 2,500 youth in those programs. We have sports and fitness that we'll have for over 3,100 youth. And we'll continue our swimming lessons on a much smaller scale this summer, as we won't have access to the high school pools, but we'll be taking full advantage of the Lapham pool and are working on a couple of other partnerships in the community to have access to pools other than those in our high schools. So we will give you an update on that as we work through those partnerships. One of our most popular programs for high school students is driver's education. We will again serve 120 high school students. Over the summer, they'll go through their classroom instruction and move into behind the wheel and actually receiving their driver's license. For all of these programs, including summer semester, MSCR provides inclusion services to be able to support individuals with disabilities in all of our programs. And we're anticipating that we'll provide that a variety of services for over 900 students. So between summer semester and our community programs, we're looking to serve over 13,000 students this summer, or youth this summer. In addition to that, MSCR adult programmers are very busy and have opportunities for over 7,000 participants that will be in our school buildings and other locations throughout the summer. So that's it for MSCR. I think the next slide is a little bit about MOST. And Nathan Beck, the Madison Out of School Time or MOST coordinator, couldn't be here this evening. He became a new dad once again last night. And he did provide some notes to share with you for his slide. So what Nathan wants us to know is that, of course, in addition to summer semester and MSCR programs, we have a number of dozens of other organizations in the community that support MMSD students. MOST, of course, is a partnership between the city and MMSD, and MOST supports some coordination, collaboration, and problem solving, which really, I think, has really been bolstered during the past 18 months or 2 years during the pandemic. We've really been able to collaborate a lot more. So partners that MOST works with range from neighborhood centers like Bayview, Goodman, Lucier, Wilmar, and others. And of course, some of the after-school providers that we talked about, Wisconsin Youth Company, Red Caboose, and the YMCA. MOST also coordinates programs with groups like CEOs of Tomorrow and of course, the Urban League of Greater Madison. As you can see, there's a wide range of programs that most member organizations provide for our students. and are excited to get closer to their maximum capacity as in the past, and will continue to work to overcome some of the barriers that we're all experiencing with the workforce limitations. So we're excited to continue to work with MOST and make sure that there are opportunities, not just through the district, but through dozens of community partners. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Janet and Peter. That does conclude our presentation, and so we are available if there are questions.
Thank you. I wanted just to say congratulations to Nate. And then Nikki, I did see your hand first.
Yes, my question is actually for Cindy Green, and it's on the internships. Want to make sure those internships are also available for individuals with disabilities and special needs. There have actually been studies done that show that individuals with disabilities who have 2 paid work experiences in high school have about 6 times the rate of finding full-time work in the community. I really think that this is an essential situation, so I hope these internships can also include them as well.
Nikki, absolutely. Our internships are inclusive, and thank you for raising that. And we will ensure that we're intentional about that, but they are definitely for all of our young people going into this summer. And some of the names that were on Nathan's slides are some of the amazing partners that we are already set up to work with for our students. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Cindy.
Thank you, Nikki. Sabian?
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you, and definitely appreciate highlighting the arts in this presentation and trying to elevate internships and paid apprenticeships as experiential learning and project-based learning are very effective. I'm wondering if we're taking the same strategy of broadly recommending students and young people for summer school. As we did at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yes, so thank you, Sabian. The recommendation process is twofold. We do take a look at student grades in terms of just academic performance. We also are taking a look at engagement, which is based on their student attendance. And then thirdly, schools are making recommendations, and they will be doing that during the month of February or early February. So there's always that as well. When we move into high school, that really is driven more around their academic goals and whether or not there needs to be any credit recoupment or just interest in first-time credit or experiential learning.
Got it. Thank you. And as I'm sure we might experience this, because we are certainly experiencing this during the school year, but any foreseeing potential having trouble staffing these programs, or looking at different incentives for people to staff these summer programs that we haven't thought of in the past?
So last summer, we were able to staff with 97% roughly with MMSD staff. So we're really excited about that. And we're hoping moving forward that this summer we can continue that as well. And we are working with HR already very early on to make sure that we can secure, because folks want to make plans early. So we want to do that in conjunction with the numbers that we have.
Got it. Thank you so much for your work and this presentation.
Thank you, Sabian. Chris?
So I'll echo the thanks for this presentation. This is a really important conversation. I have a few questions. My first one is just another question around enrollment. Are we looking at trying to go with similar enrollment numbers as we had last year in summer session, or trying to increase them as we serve? That's a complicated question with staffing and COVID and
yeah. So we roughly, last year we estimated at about 25% of our current enrollment is who we thought we would probably be able to, in terms of criteria and just capacity. So we will continue to look at that number. Last year, we definitely fell below where we thought we would be. It was much lower. Lots of folks, I think early on said, yes, I'm going to do this. And they were enrolled in school summer semester. And life happens and things happen. And so our enrollment did decline a little bit last year. So it was roughly around 4,000 students. And so we'd love for that to be closer to 5,000. So we're going to continue to work on that.
Excellent. I have a question about restorative justice as a part of the social and emotional learning that might go on during summer session. Are there opportunities to incorporate restorative justice into the curriculum? I'm thinking particularly in middle schools, and give kids the opportunity to build their leadership in this area during the summer.
Yeah, so we are in the process of kind of looking at the curriculum, looking at different opportunities, in particular in that K-8 rate area. So early on, I could say that we're very open to that. We usually engage with the universal coaches through student services. And so we'll be having those conversations, definitely. And there are PBIS coaches and or deans that are at each one of those sites that could support that as well.
And I'm really excited about the arts component of this. Are we looking, compared to past years, are we looking at expanded arts programming? And I would just love to know more about how you're thinking that arts fits into the overall curricular program and the academic program, and also the role that arts might play in relieving some of the stress and anxiety that students have experienced this year as they move into summer session.
Great questions, all of them. I will just say that most of our planning right now has centered on the component that was already listed as part of the regular summer semester programming. That is arts and experiential and expressive learning that is being designed by arts educators in MMSD. In most cases, to be actually delivered by some of the teachers who are already leading math and literacy in other areas. So there's going to be sort of an engagement in integrating concepts more broadly, having hands-on and experiential learning. But the arts initiative that I was discussing very broadly is also sort of a parallel and extension of the summer semester programming. It doesn't necessarily directly become a part of the summer semester programming. It is its own thing that is running in addition to and alongside of and beyond. I don't know how much better to put that, because so many structural pieces are still sort of in flux, but that's our goal.
So I assume that means that in addition to students who are enrolled for summer semester, we'll also be able to reach out to even more students with arts.
Absolutely, and that's the goal. You know, one possible model, and I'm just sort of throwing this out here as sort of an example, one possible model that had been floated was something along the lines of the Wisconsin Film Festival. All of these different theaters are all running different films at different times, and you seek out the one you want and you go see it. Having things happening at different points throughout the city, possibly at MMSD buildings and possibly outside of MMSD buildings, but as part of our initiative. So lots of options exist, and we're working really hard to make sure we get as many, a really wide and diverse variety of arts partners involved.
So my final question is just, given the referendum construction that will be going on in our high schools, what's the plan for virtual high school instruction, and will it be available across the district in one attendance area? Not virtual, in-person high school instruction, sorry.
Yeah, no, we are planning to have 4 different sites. So each one of the high schools, their site will be located within their feeder pattern at a local middle school. So for example, East High School, all those students who are engaged in in-person instruction will attend O'Keefe Middle School. And then there will be one large virtual option for kids across the city. And that we'll probably follow suit with that for the next couple of summers based on where the referendum construction is.
All my questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks for the presentation. I always love to hear about all of the potential for summer and the summer opportunities for students at all these different grade levels and all the great work that you are doing to plan that. Most of my questions have been asked. Celebration of the arts, I'm very excited about that. All of the outdoor education and the things to get kids outside. Thank you for expanding that. I think that's incredible. And then my question, or just I guess my comment is, in addition to having the high school in-person sites, I just really, in talking to some high school staff, that virtual learning option for high schoolers and the flexibility of that worked really well last summer for a lot of students. So having that so students can work and also access the learning opportunities in the summer, I just want to say let's keep going with that, and thanks for planning around that too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments board members would like to make?
Maya, I'd like to ask a question, but I'm having some technical difficulties kind of consistently throughout the meeting. I'm going to jump on to Dr. Jenkins' camera. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins.
Okay.
So my primary comment is that I want to thank the team, Peter and Dr. Pryor and everybody who has strengthened the arts. And then the other comment I think I really want to make is that it's such a profound opportunity to look at summer school and the approach we're taking to our summer semester and go, how can we learn from this to enhance our fall semester and our spring semester? So much of what you all are doing over the summer is, I think, what kids are needing right now in response to the pandemic, in terms of play-based learning, in terms of emphasis on the arts. And I think that, you know, it's something that we should be really proud of and can't take for granted as leaders in this district, all the work you all have done to strengthen this opportunity. I want to ask one really specific question about the arts. And that is, you know, in terms of theater and music and, you know, drawing and sculpting, what do we mean, you know, especially at the elementary level? When I was in elementary school, you could start playing violin as a third grader. You now can't get that instrument until you're in 5th grade. Is summer school an opportunity for our students to, you know, get back some of the arts that has been deprioritized or defunded over the course of the last few decades?
Great question. Thank you for that question. One particular strand that I am still investigating the logistics around is to actually ensure a more solid and more secure start for students who are starting instruments in middle school, you know, in band or in orchestra, to basically be able to have sort of that jump start or that ensemble instrument 101 sort of starter course and that on-ramp as a part of summer school. Some of those logistics are still being worked out. The idea of the summer initiative, as Dr. Pryor initially sort of voiced it and envisioned it, and the way in which we are pursuing it, is really more sort of it's a view towards ensuring that kids who might not have ever thought they wanted to try something or thought that they could try something have the opportunity to sort of wet their whistle, to try it. And not necessarily invest as deeply as you might over the course of an entire semester or the course of an entire year at school. None of these experiences will necessarily be graded or focused on standards in the same way that our standards focus happens to be in our arts instruction in schools currently. But that being said, if you have an entire week with a teaching artist who is leading an entire group of students, your peers, through a musical theater activity, and you're building a performance piece that you actually get to show off to family and community members at the end of the week, you know, that sort of ensemble work, that sort of pride, and that sort of opportunity to share your learning, even in a short form, is super valuable. And really, one of the goals is to ensure that kids who might not have ever had the chance to try this out have the chance to do so, so that as they enter school the following year, they have a broader and richer and deeper view of what they might have the option to do or try, or how they see themselves.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to that. I am profoundly grateful for the work that you're doing, Dr. Pryor. I'm so grateful for your leadership in the area of the arts. And as a board member who's been advocating that we emphasize the arts and we invest more in the arts, I think that this is a really sound step in the right direction in terms of that work. And I think if we can do it in summer school and learn from summer school, then we can do it, our fall and spring semester to a better extent. Dr. Pryor, in really thinking about the overall kind of package that is, summer school, you and I talked earlier today about the opportunities for our kids to learn from technology and be given academic credit and recognized for the way that they learn from technology. My 7-year-old can use Zoom really well. And we all know here at this meeting that is a life skill, that's a career skill, and she's not getting graded on it. Can you talk a little bit about how you all are incorporating technology and also recognizing the skills our students are making in terms of computer sciences, coding, and those sorts of areas in which we're preparing our kids for the future in real time?
Thank you, President Muldrow. That's an excellent lift there. And you're right, we started this conversation earlier today. First of all, let me just back step just a few steps here. I just want to say the overall arching goal for the Summer for the Arts is to, number one, to expose and to enrich. I shared with Peter one of the things that we don't want this to be punitive in any way. We want to expose our kids to the various art forms that exist. When we look at our data around participation in the arts in our district, it is troubling to me when I saw it. And perhaps we're not offering the right arts courses. And so this is an opportunity for us to really lean in and explore opportunities. How do we engage some of our African-American males? When I was a high school principal, I had a music industry program where the kids, it improved my school attendance of my African-American males because they had something to look forward to. Some of my young ladies who had attendance problems, the attendance increased because we had dance class. We were able to offer hip hop, but at the same time offer them tap and ballet. It was a beautiful sight. Some of my African-American males who were, you would just stereotype them and say, oh, this just doesn't fit. But we had a harp program where we had 48 harpists, all African-American male and females playing the harp. And many of them went on to college to play these things. And so we want to open the door for these opportunities for the students so that they will develop a craving for the arts when they go back and return to their schools or their zone schools after the summer months. And so, yes, I'm charging Peter with really dreaming big. And I told Peter this on several occasions. If you get this right, you're going to have the keys to the city. And I just think that the timing is right. We have the support. And so I'm really leaning in hard for him to come through for us on this, because I think it's a wonderful opportunity to re-engage students. And, we really reached out to summer semester because we knew a lot of our kids would be there, and they had that little window of opportunity there where they had an outlet anyway. And I'm like, hey, let's push in, let's lean in here on that opportunity as well. And so again, we will continue to work towards this end goal for this summer, and we're constantly soliciting feedback and input as well, as many of you have already provided. Now, to the question that you lifted, yes, one of the things that I think we have to do a better job in, we talk a lot about learning loss, and it's true, a lot of learning loss, but we also need to focus on skills gained. Our little first graders, they're so savvy when it comes to technology right now, it will just blow your mind. I have a little 8-year-old. When I tell you every time, I don't need to call a tech anymore. If I'm having issues, I just call her and she'll like, get out of the way. I got it. I'll show you how to do this thing, right? And she corrects it. She shows me things on the iPad that I never knew existed, right? But yet we're not giving them credit for that. And you're right. You know, when we think about STEM, we can incorporate these things in STEM. Kids are craving for this, you know, coding, as we talk about, things of that nature. We've got to figure out ways to re-engage children where they see learning as not being punitive, but something that they look forward to. And so with the lift that you shared today, I went back to the team and I'm saying, okay, let's start thinking more out of the box and think about some of those things that we can integrate that kids gained in this period of this big pause that we had of COVID. Because it's you think about the independence of children, the leadership of children, all of these things that they gain as a result of this pandemic. And so I don't have all of the answers for that yet, but I can assure you that I will engage the team in conversations to think about what are some of those things that we can add to the repertoire for summer semester.
Thank you so much for speaking to that, Dr. Pryor, and to really speaking to both the arts and the importance of recognizing the skills our students have gained in terms of technology and the skills our students need in terms of technology. I want to thank you, Janet Dyer, for creating play-based learning and outdoor opportunities for our students through MSCR. I think that it is, you know, an incredibly important part of making summer school something that is fun and allows all young people to have that opportunity to play during the summer, right? And to be creative. So thank you to the whole team. And Kaylee, I know how passionate you are about the arts, even though you have not spoken yet. So I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing to champion this work as well. Y'all are the best, and we are so lucky to get to have you on our team. And that is it for me, Board Member Pearson.
Thank you, Ali. Ananda?
Yeah, thank you. Echo Board President Muldrow. I echo all the gratitude for the team and also the personal aspect that you all are bringing up to this conversation. Dr. Pryor, I was cracking up here because my favorite virtual moment of all time in 2021 was when this grown man, their child was put a filter of a cat, and this grown man could not turn the filter of the Zoom, and he went viral. And I cannot, for the life of nothing, I watched that video. I crack up like nobody's business. And you're absolutely right. Y'all absolutely right. Like, I think the skills where we are is setting up our children we are the generational gap that folks, I mean, let me see, with the exception of Gordon, of folks that grew up without like that technology, right? Like, so we are doing all of that. We're seeing, we grew up without it, and now we cannot imagine our existence without them. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. I want to lift up Dr. Pryor, because I was really excited by some of the comments you mentioned around, in particular, around arts and the connection to potentially some summer opportunity. My daughter is a first year college student, and she was talking to me about how she wished she had continued to be a dancer because she is learning that there are some of her colleagues who got dance scholarship. And we talked about dance before, of it. I think for me is also, just this conversation about that the many different art forms are actually setting up children to access, post-secondary education, but that, there is a huge disconnect on that. The other piece is to lift up I'm gonna call like non-mainstream with hoping that is the code language to speak to instruments beyond violin, instruments like drums. We have in our community an incredible resource of African drumming folks. And I had an opportunity because of my social capital. I had an opportunity to expose my daughter to so much of that. She had violin classes. She also had Afro-Brazilian classes, right? She had all of that, but those things were always an add-on. So as children are, at some point she was in DLI, pathways, and now, band is now not as, it's a competing factor, and some, the after school dance team that she was on, it was just, complicated. It was just, it was just a nightmare to manage. So really, I was hoping it's a comment and also an opportunity to lift up, how do we leverage partnerships, lifting up and leveraging the wealth of this community, right? Like when we're speaking about, the amount of resources, the amount of brilliance that we have, and untapped potential. I know that in 1 year, I was able to bring to Wright Middle School, which is a school that I was working with, a summer programming for Wright Middle Schoolers to learn Afro-Brazilian drums. And it was the first time a lot of Black and Brown children were even, exposed to drumming. So I don't know if any of you have any comments on that, but I'm excited for that. And it's in particular because I know that there was a time in our district that imagining a robust summer was just really, hard, as a parent that have put, that my daughter attended a lot of the summer programs. I saw how it went from robust experiences to really just a couple of hours of not a lot of engagement happening. So if any of you can speak to that, or the partnerships, or any of the comments, that'd be great. If not, that's all good. I just wanted to share a lot of love too.
I can speak a little bit to the partnerships. We have a wide array of partnerships that we're already engaged with. The UW Arts Collaboratory has been a really phenomenal partner to have brought on board with our Any Given Child partnership. And within that, there's the Performing Ourselves group, which is movement and dance, but it's movement and dance from a dance therapy and SEL and self-awareness perspective. And so it's not necessarily the traditional structured dance of that you'd have with a sort of European tradition that also has its strengths, and it's amazing. Another component of the UW Arts Collaboratory is the Drum Power, led by Dr. Urel Lashley, who, the Afro-Brazilian drumming dance, or not Brazilian, I'm sorry, African drumming and dance. There are many other community members who are sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it, they sort of provide one-off teaching artist residencies through the Bubbler or through other dance schools, private dance schools in the area, who I'm interested in pulling in, many of whom are MMSD grads and who have reached out to me over the years in interest of working with kids. I kind of want to give them a bigger stage. So there's lots of opportunities. Hip hop, the combination of drumming and dance, all of those things, many community partners and people who we are continuing to seek out. So yes, absolutely. We're hoping to sort of cast a really wide net with regard to the variety and the range of partners that we're working with.
Also, to add to that, as I look at the data that Peter has provided, and it's historical data up until the pandemic of what the arts look like, and I keep going back to the participation rate. There's several things that we'll have to address. When you look at schedules, sometimes the schedule is a barrier where children or scholars have to make a choice. We have to do something about that. If we value the arts and really know what value it brings to the total development of a student, we have to do something about that. Many of our students who we're trying to target here, you think about intervention, during those hours where you have those specials, they may be pulled for that. It may be programming, AVID, wonderful program where our kids need it, but these are competing entities. And so we're gonna have to eventually look at the schedule that we're offering in schools. Do we stick with a traditional schedule Or do we go with a 4x4? And I know that may not be that popular, but we may need to look at something like that that creates an extra block for students to take that. One of the things that I learned early on in my career, when you're trying to be intentional about providing these opportunities for students, you have to look at how do you stretch the school day and the school year. I call it extended school day and an extended school year. And we have to leverage those opportunities as well. You know, why is it that after school programs have to be, you know, in the regular school sector, have to be academic all the time? You know, why can't it be enrichment for children where we build self-esteem and build that confidence that they need? Because it's all about transfer of learning. You know, the same effort that you put into mastering art, you know, is the same approach that you take in mastering a content subject area, right? And then when we talk about extending the year, is what we talked about earlier. When we talk about summer semester, how do we leverage that time to expose kids to get them hooked on these various art forms that we have? And so, you know, we have a lot of work to do around this, but we're going to get there, you know, and if we continue to work collaboratively together, and keep it in the forefront, it will happen. And we will continue to pull teacher voice into this. And again, that's one of the charges with Peter. Make sure we make sure that we elevate their voices and their ideas, because they have the passion for this and the opportunity that we have before us. If we bring them together and let them plan, I think they will exceed our expectations. So thank you all for your support.
Yeah, thank you both for speaking to that. I was speaking to Dr. Yorel around the African and the Afro-Brazilian drums. I loved and I appreciate the SEL connection, but I think there's also like math and science and physics that are connected to all those art components. And I remember, you know, I got the amazing honor to run my campaign with our president in Muldrow, and every time she would bring, you know, her platform around arts every day, people would, you know, speak about arts in absence of literacy, in absence of math, in absence of, you know, all the other academics. So I'm really excited with this opportunity of speaking to content and development, comprehensive, and also the layer around social emotional learning. I do believe that arts is what saved my child. Also excited about even expanding the abilities of educators to negotiate that too. I know that this is also a learning opportunity for veteran educators to explore multiple ways to engage with our children. I have one more comment, Board Member Pearson, but something you mentioned, Dr. Pryor, made me think of, I had the amazing opportunity to work in our 4 high schools, and what you were speaking around what's happening after the bell schedule ends, you know, how it varies from school to school, and how we have for quite some time, unfortunately, set up a culture where, you know, schools were not for the children, right? Or not for the students, right? Like this notion that you get a ticket in the school because because you're waiting for a ride, or because your bus didn't come, or because it's too cold, or because you're, you know, trying to figure out what you're going to connect to. I think addressing those things and actually moving the culture of the schools as this place of an extended, robust learning opportunity in many different ways. So thank you both for your work. Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the team for this amazing presentation. It's really exciting.
Thank you, Ananda. I'll just quickly go really quick. I just want to say thank you also for this nice presentation. I know when I started chairing this committee, that was one of the things that Dr. Pryor and I were very, very adamant about, is how do we incorporate the arts in a stronger sense, not just only throughout the regular semesters, but also in the summer. And how do we leverage our times that we do have to be able to expose our children to different types of art, and not just our traditional art in Madison that we typically see. One thing that I am really excited about is leveraging our community partners, and not just our normal community partners, but some of our smaller entities that are kind of scattered across the city. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also too, I just had one question of are we including our students in planning for the summer as well? Like, are we having surveys? Are we asking them what kind of things that they would like to see? So how is their input kind of being involved in this process?
At this point in time, we are seeking availability and sort of trying to dig into the breadth of what options exist from the teaching artist perspective. Once the options are known and can be laid out in a structure, there are a number of different ways that I can see us ensuring that the students who might be engaged on the regular, for example, through an MSCR wraparound program, that they would have either an elective opportunity or just sort of have it be an arts carousel, sort of a potpourri, where it's like, you don't like what's happening today, wait 2 days. It's going to be new, it's going to be different, and giving them multiple opportunities that way. But in terms of engaging kids, the opportunity to ensure that we have access to a wide variety of things that are running parallel to and in extension beyond our summer semester programming and throughout the city, that's something that's going to be interest driven. I think one of our bigger challenges is going to be ensuring that once somebody realizes that they have interest, that they also recognize, that students and families also recognize that this is an opportunity that they have access to, making sure that there is transportation and the immediacy of the opportunity to be able to go to where it is or to attend it, to be able to access it that way.
Thank you for that. And it kind of is just a perfect segue into my last question, just about equity. I know Dr. Pryor kind of alluded to it in his comments. One thing that I'm always trying to figure out a way that we can do better is how do we ensure that students who don't have transportation, who don't have access to monies to purchase instruments, for instance, when I was in high school, I played the viola really well, wanted to continue, but couldn't afford to purchase a viola, didn't even know that you could actually rent a viola. So I just had to stop playing viola, right? And so how are we ensuring that our youth are also having access where they can, if they need instruments or if they need some type of support, that we're making sure that they're getting to their activities and providing that for them. So that was my last question.
Great questions. And there's a range of sort of focus points right now. Our current MMSD instrument fleet has been in decline in the last 2 years when we've been in virtual learning and hybrid learning and making sure that all of these things are continuing in a structure that had existed, like the way that we had run our instrumental and our ensemble classes had sort of been in serious flux. We are seeking right now with as many additional funds as we can to not only beef up our current instrument fleet, but I was also recently contacted by a couple of, I would say sort of not directly partners, but people who are adjacent to and aware of MMSD's need through some of our vendors, who actually, there are programs that I am seeking more information on and working with, where they are taking instruments, they are refurbishing instruments and providing them for sale or for rent at much reduced prices. And they're doing this in partnership with, and actually as sort of an adjunct to, some of our regular vendors who might be selling us instruments at sort of full market value or at reduced educational prices. So there's a lot of different options we're pursuing, making sure that students know that the option exists. We have ensured or done our best to ensure that if a student would like to take an instrument and they can get their class scheduled, and that's like a whole other conversation that Dr. Pryor alluded to earlier. If they can get the class and they want the instrument, we seek to ensure that they have access to an instrument, either directly through MMSD's fleet of owned instruments, or over the last couple of years, we've even engaged in institutional rentals to ensure that any additional instruments needed were available and access. So we're working to sort of navigate that to try and ensure that our stock of instruments is cared for and in our own ownership. It actually is more fiscally responsible to handle it that way. But what we're working towards is to ensure that it sounds to me like students not knowing that they have the option to rent is one of the issues. And if that's a communications piece, if that's building a culture of awareness and a culture of communication within the schools, within the school communities, and among the teachers with their classes, that's something that is actually far easier to combat than necessarily just making sure that we get an instrument into their hands.
Thank you so much for answering that. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, that is the last part of our meeting tonight. So I will definitely entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second, Ali Muldrow.
Thank you. Let's see, is Gordon still on? Did he have to drop? Okay.
Sorry, Gordon had to drop. Thank you.
Okay, great. All in favor of adjourning? 7-0. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Barb.